Morning, everyone, and welcome to the March 16th regular meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
Councilmember Burke Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilmember Lees.
Present.
Councilmember Overby.
Here.
Councilmember Rogers.
Present.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Present. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's agenda lists 4 public hearings, although actually we'll only be having 3. The first listed will not be heard today. We will be doing a resolution later to authorize that hearing, and that is for the amendment of Chapter 255 regarding affordable accessory apartments. So if you're here for that, our apologies. That was an erroneous scheduling of that hearing. We actually will be doing the hearing notice to schedule that hearing later today. That'll be followed by the next hearing up would be the CPF Management Stewardship Plan. The third is code amendments for Chapter 91, beaches, parks, hunting on town parklands. The fourth is grant of season easement, and then we have a public portion that will be followed by resolutions. But before we get started, we have Mr. Hugh King, our town historian, is here with us today. Welcome, Hugh.
Okay, hang on, everybody. It's going to be a long one. Your next assignment is going to be a lot easier, okay? I'm not going to be here next time, but I'm going to give everybody an assignment that you could do, and you don't need me here when you tell the information that you find, okay?
It's like having a substitute teacher come in.
Now,
Who's the substitute gonna be?
Who's the substitute? And can we just skip it?
of course, we may have to have a special meeting so Supervisor Van Scoyac can complete his assignments.
No, I'm prepared.
You're prepared today? We don't have to have a special meeting?
I think, I have 6 different dates that I have to.
Oh, all right, good for you.
Today.
Okay. Well, let's start with.
Well, when you publicly threatened to fail me.
No, what I did
Look,
say.
I'm going to graduate in December no matter what.
Yeah, but I think that you and Councilwoman Overby should have to take a final.
I may just audit the class.
All right. I hope the rest of the meeting is this funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Councilwoman Rogers. You had 1745, 1746, and 1746.
Yes, and this is what I have. In 1745, the Abraham Baker House was built. And its significance is, besides being built in 1745, is that it turned into a clubhouse for the Riding Club of East Hampton. And Jacqueline Bouvier, one of our first ladies, was started riding lessons there when she was 2 years old.
That house is still there,
Yeah.
On Cross Highway, across from that famous historic landmark. What is it, Boswick's?
Yes.
If you go up there, that house is still there, and Barbara Johnson lived in that house. And the mailbox is a horse.
Hitching post.
Riding. What?
A hitching post, isn't it?
A hitching post, almost. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Great.
Okay, 1746, the first Presbyterian church became actually Presbyterian church. A church was founded. The church was founded in 1648, and had and at that time it was established as the first church by Puritan settlers that same year, and evolving over the years, it became a Presbyterian church in 1647, and
1740.
I'm sorry, 1747, and the minister at the time became a charter member of the Suffolk County Presbytery. And this note, I would like to confirm the church was the only church in town for over 200 years.
Yeah, the first next church building was built at St. Luke's. The first St. Luke's, not the one that's there now.
But what about St. Matthew's Chapel? Was that part of the
Oh,
Presbyterian?
no, you're right. That's 1852.
Okay.
And then, of course, the oldest church building in the town is actually in Eastville. St. David's AME Zion Church. Isn't Eastville, that part of Eastville in the town?
Yeah.
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 Good.
Okay, so that's 1746, and also in 1746, and it's a little confusing. In 1746, the oldest structure in Montauk was built, called Fort Pond House originally, and it was originally built to house the keepers who tended cattle and sheep grazing upon the hills and pasture lands of Montauk. It became known as Second House.
1746, that's right. And I had in 1745, the Dominique Carpenter Shop was built.
I didn't find that.
Yep. And Samson Occam began teaching in Montauk. He was a Mohegan from Connecticut, and he came here. He was ordained in the church, and he started teaching in Montauk at that time.
Did
you
he
go.
end up in at Dartmouth?
He was supposed to. He went to England and raised money to begin Dartmouth College. It was supposed to be a college for Native Americans, and he was supposed to have a teaching position there. Nope, didn't happen.
Didn't quite get there.
Okay, Councilwoman Overby, thank you. Yeah, that was great.
Okay, so I had 1747, 1770, and 1775. And the 1747, I found at the Henry P. Hedges writings about the allotment of lands. And in the allotment of lands, it meant that individuals were entitled to purchase common lands in the town of East Hampton.
Yeah.
So the subdivision started with 10 acres of subdivision per allotment in 1736, and the last division of lands was done in 1747 when 3 acres were given as an allotment. So over the course of the allotments from 1736 to 1747, 15,000 acres were allotted in those years. And that was the last time they did the allotments.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was 1747. 1770, I had 2. One of them was the East Hampton trustees had given permission for a wharf to be built in Sag Harbor.
That's right. Long Wharf.
So long, which was a little fascinating since it's really on the Southampton side now.
Yeah.
And the
Thank
other, I just
heaven.
couldn't resist doing 1770 House because it's on Main Street. But 1770 House was originally built as a private home for William Fithian, and it was converted to an inn in 1770. So we still have it as a restaurant and inn today, 1770 House.
There's an oven downstairs too, that's supposed to be linked to the 1770s. That's why they call it the 1770 House. That big, huge beehive oven that's down on the bottom floor. Yeah.
Yep.
We think they used that to bake bread when the kids went to Clinton Academy next door. See, I'm not sure. That's just a supposition. Okay, I'll be quiet.
No. Then in 1775. So this was from another record about the British who ventured towards Long Island in 1775, and they put anchor in at Fort Pond Bay in Montauk. And it was during the siege of Boston that they would come back and drop anchor here. So John Dayton, who had limited troops and wanted to show strength, then proceeded to walk his men up a hill to show that there were a lot of men. They came back down the hill, turned their coats inside out, and walked back up the hill looking as though they were a different whole group of men. And in that way, he was hoping that he would scare the British away and not attack at the end of Long Island. And today it is even called Dayton's Ruse, R-U-S-E, to use that tactic to show that you have more men than you actually have. And in reading this, then it leads right into the first battle of Long Island, which actually didn't take place until August 28th in 1776. And the island fell within the lines of the British occupation and under their rule. What I want to read is just what Henry P. Hedges wrote, which I think was a lovely thing to talk about freedom. Free men of this town unanimously advocated for the patriot cause, sustained and sympathized with their countrymen in Boston and elsewhere, and fought for their liberties on land and sea. The most active in the revolution, sometimes taking refuge in the Continental Army or in the towns in Connecticut, and thence sometimes as privateers, contributing gallantly to the cause of freedom. The presence of the portion of the British forces quartered in Sag Harbor and the Hamptons was a standing menace. Their conduct exasperating, their language provoking, their incessant pillaging is a burden, their insults a trial, and their brutality a grievance. The people of East Hampton, not without cause, held them in utter loathing and abhorrence.
Boy.
So, I thought that was incredible writing and needed to be repeated.
He was one of our first great historians, Henry
Yes.
P. Hedges. I think we've talked about him. All right, now, Supervisor Van Scoyac, you have back work.
I do. I have a number of dates beginning with 1670, and John Osborne was selling land at the east and acquiring much more in the west at Wainscott.
Right.
He was first located there in 1670. And being so remote from the town, in June of that year, a grant of preference to grind at the mill was given to him. The tradition that he was the first settler of Wainscott is confirmed by this and there are other entries in the records. So he was the first, and they're still there, by the way. The descendants in that Osborne family are still living in Wainscott. The next date, let's see, I should also say that these then dedicated verses. Okay, so the source on that was Henry P. Hedges' history, printed in 1897. 1678, Hobart Mulford House was built in 1680 by the High Sheriff of Joshua Hobart. And, I'm sorry, in 1680, it was purchased by Hobart. An important early official and the first New York Royal Providence governor, Samuel Fishhook Mulford, bought the property in 1712 after Hobart's death, and he had a barn built, the Mulford barn, in 1721. And this farm is one of the most significant English colonial farmsteads in America. You
The
probably
Mulford
have a
House,
lot
right.
more information you could give.
No, that's good. You got the
there.
Mulford Farm. But
1680, Amagansett was initially settled by Baker, Conklin, and Barnes families, descendants of English settlers, and the Dutch brothers, Abraham and Jacob Skellinger, sons of New Amsterdam merchant who moved to East Hampton between 1680 and 1690 after the English took over New Amsterdam. 1784 is the Clinton Academy.
right.
One of the first academies in New York State, chartered by the boards of regents. The academy was constructed in 1784 with funds contributed by local citizens at the request of Reverend Samuel Buell, for which Buell Lane is named, the pastor at East Hampton Presbyterian Church. The remarkable academy was a coeducational institution preparing young men for college or careers such as seafaring and surveying, and young women were schooled in spiritual reading and finer points of being a lady.
It was also the girls also took French. They took spelling.
That's my next.
Oh, sorry.
That's quite all right. You're right.
No, but the girls just didn't go there and learn sewing. That's what I
Latin,
wanted.
Greek, and French. Yeah.
Right.
And let's see, the next date I have is 1792. Enough families had settled in Northwest by 1792 to warrant the construction of a schoolhouse. And the schoolhouse was just across from the homestead of Isaac Van Scoy, who made the land available for the schoolhouse and charged an exorbitant rate of rent, which was 6 cents in the ashes. It's interesting that ashes were valuable enough to be used to pay rent and sold.
Right.
I'm sure they made lye from that, and also
Didn't they put it on
Fertilizer.
gardens? Didn't they
Yeah.
put?
Fertilizer and you can also make lysol.
Potash. It would be potash.
yeah. So,
There's a voice.
yeah,
on
and
there.
at the time,
Sorry, it's one of the things that I'm totally nerdy about. What was that section
so
of
just
history?
for
I apologize.
those viewing the meeting, that's Jason at LTV. Yeah. The omnipotent Jason. Let's see, the town of East Hampton paid Henry Domine $40 in 1792 to build the school. And they gave the trustees, let's see, the Mulfords, Parsons, Terrys, Hedges, Bennetts, Rangers, Vanscoys, Rogers, and a Howell, and Anderson, a Mays, a Bernadette, and a Cornwall. So they had a number of families living in Northwest by that time. As the agricultural industry started to collapse and the soils there not being very deep and exhausted, that area ended up becoming really an area of woodlots for firewood. Later on, most of the farms disappeared.
Isn't there an outline of where the school was still there?
There is. It's in fact, I don't know, it was probably 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, Land Management Department, along with Trails Preservation Society, did a little work on the homestead. There is an ancient well there and the outline of the foundation of the house. And right across from that, near the cemetery, across from the cemetery on the knoll, you can actually see, I think, some of the cornerstones, foundation stones are still in place.
And how do we know there was a school there? The minutes of the school board meeting are in the Long Island room. That's how I found out about the school. And that's where they found out about selling the ashes, right? It's from the minutes of the school district.
Right, and that's it's repeated in Jeanette Edwards Rattray's Northwest, Our Deserted Village
right.
article. And I also found out that Isaac Van Scoy Jr. was a pioneer in the oyster farming, which I hadn't known about. And
You think he was expelled from the school?
he came, no, he might have been, I don't know. But the family came from Oyster Bay. Originally, they settled 1636 in New Amsterdam and moved their way out the island. They were farmers and
Very good.
ended up out here. And then now I have one more.
Okay.
1796. And that's the year that Montauk Lighthouse was built. Alexander Hamilton was the Secretary of Commerce in order to improve commerce along the coastline.
Wow.
He was instrumental in pushing that forward. George Washington was president, commissioned the lighthouse. It's one of our few national historic landmarks in town, which there are a couple others. One being Home Sweet Home, right?
No.
Mulford Farm?
No. They're on the National Register. of
Register.
Historic-
Okay, so Moran House,
Moran House.
and there's one more.
I think Jackson Pollock.
Yeah,
Pollock
Jackson
Krasner
Pollock,
House.
Pollock Krasner, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So we have three, which is unusual because national landmarks are a much higher standard to receive recognition. In fact, I think it took well over 20 years to get the Montauk Lighthouse established as landmark. That was done, I think, in 2012.
Yeah, we read
We
that
finally,
dedication.
yeah. And so that's my favorite landmark in town, frankly, because the view there over the water is
96 I had it down there twice.
Mhm.
Right, Councilman Lees?
Yeah, that's correct. I just want to add on that I'm a proud member of the East Hampton Presbyterian Church, First Press. The sanctuary was completely redone by the committee this year, and when we went in there, Pastor Smith from the Shinnecock Indian Reservation. We don't have a current pastor right now, interim pastor. He opened it up, and the sanctuary is perhaps the most gorgeous I've ever seen it in my 47 years right now. And it's welcoming. Everyone's welcome to go there, including we had an individual, Chip Tourier this weekend, gave his they can't say it's a sermon because he's not ordained, but he led the congregation in prayer. And it was really, really nice. And I do have to say, anyone that wants to come, it's a beautiful place. They have many music things going on right now with Jane Hasty. And the church itself it's looking more beautiful than I've ever seen. I want to thank them. So I apologize for embellishing a little bit more. And in 1796, as the supervisor said, at the height of 110 feet, 6 inches, 136 iron steps to the top. The foundation is 13 feet deep. It was authorized by the Second Congress in 1792 and first constructed in 1796 was the Montauk Lighthouse. It's the first lighthouse in New York State, fourth oldest in the United States of America. It was given to the Coast Guard in 1939 and most recently to the Montauk Historical Society. And as all tourism boards in Long Island and New York State, they use the Montauk Lighthouse as one of their logos. And I hope the county hears me, gives back more tax money to the infrastructure in Montauk and to this project.
All right.
Rolling in.
I was in DC yesterday in Senator Schumer's office,
Yeah.
and there on the wall, among other photographs of New York, was, of course, the Montauk Lighthouse.
Lighthouse. There we go. So I hope they're hearing us from afar. In 1802, this one was fun for me. I found it was the original one-room schoolhouse in Amagansett. It was built by Samuel Skellinger. This schoolhouse, most recently, I think it was in 2015, was moved back onto this original site. Stands right in front of the Amagansett School right now. It was for many years on the property of the late Huntington Sheldon, who lived on Atlantic Avenue. It was moved multiple times, including right in front of the current cemetery on the corner of Atlantic Avenue. But yes, that is the first schoolhouse in 1802 I have. You asked me about a time period from 1804 to 1806. I was at this East Hampton Historical Society lecture on millers and millwrights. And there is a wonderful lecture coming up on the 31st of March. Starts, I believe, at 6:30. Doors open 7 o'clock at East Hampton. It's at the Amagansett Life Saving Station. It's being given by David Cataletto on whaling on Long Island, offshore whaling. Again, it's part of the winter lecture series of the East Hampton Historical Society, which Hugh King participates in many years. Back to my sidebar. Sorry. 1804 was an enlightenment, I guess, in the village and the town as far as windmills. And two, this is a joy, I think, to all passerbys for the town of East Hampton residents. I think the village of East Hampton has been doing a wonderful job preserving these windmills, specifically in some of the years. The first windmill that we have, I want to note, is the Panago Mill. This is the one. The Panago Mill was started to be built in March of 1804. Samuel Skellinger also started to build this, changed ownership over a period of years and moved to the corner of Panago Road in Egypt, where it stood for 72 years. And now it is moved and stands behind Home Sweet Home, right besides a beautiful garden that's dedicated to your wife.
That's right.
Next, few months later, the Gardner Mill was built after the Panago Mill was begun. This mill was commenced on the east side of Town Pond, and it still stands same place today. And it was built by Nathaniel Dominy V for John Lyon Gardner and several other sponsors. It was the timber was cut from Gardner's Island and was completed on September 20th, 1804, costing 528 pounds, which is about $1,320. And it was continuing to be operated up to about 1900. And it's a beautiful mill. And I know the village has done a great job continuous restoration of it and preservation of it, not necessarily restoration. Even more so, the one is in 1806. We would know that as the Old Hook Mill, which is the historical windmill on North Main Street that we all know so well. It's in our town seal. It was built in 1806 and operated to about 1908. It's one of the most complete and existing windmills on Long Island. It was sold to I have it to the town of East Hampton in 1922, placed in the National Register of Historical Places, and now I believe it's owned and managed by the village of East Hampton. All three of them, I think, are spectacular. And if you ever have a chance to see when the windmill on the Hook Mill by chance and the wind is going the right way and the sailors are on and it's moving, you should stop and just enjoy the moment. It is one of the greatest sights I've ever seen being a resident, to see the mill turning. there. It's a beautiful site. And if you have a chance, I met you on there. Remember this when the first time? Sorry, you being you.
1805?
No, not 1805. I think it was the village and Scott
You're
50.
not that old.
And I know the sales were running, and you just pause and you're being transformed.
Yeah,
back.
unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to turn it for a while because
Oh, no.
it's just too fragile now. But we still will put the sails on so you could see what it's like, but it's going to be difficult to turn it, I'm afraid.
Understood.
All right,
what I have.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
So I had 1806 and I also came up with the Hook Windmill, also known as the old Hook Mill. So David's already
Yep.
made all the points I was planning to make. Then I had 1827. It was not until March 31st, 1817 that the New York legislature ended 2 centuries of slavery within its borders, setting July 4th, 1827 as the date of final emancipation. This made New York the first state to pass a law for the total abolition of legal slavery. After slavery was abolished in 1827, freed slaves were relocated to small houses just north of East Hampton Village to an area we know as Freetown. And then I had 1840, and the Ladies Village Improvement Society produced a chronology of events with which it was associated, and it started with 1840. This book was prepared by Colleen Rando. And according to this chronology, families from New York City and Philadelphia started to summer in East Hampton beginning in 1840, boarding with local residents on Main Street and going to the beach in horse-drawn carriages that permit changing at the beach in privacy.
Right. Yeah. The place was packed with people before the artists came here and before the railroad. People were coming here. That's great. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being very patient. Now I'll just give you your assignment and I'll be out of here. Okay. The next time at the library, there's an exhibit for Women's History Month. And in the exhibit, there is information about the Ramblers. Write this one down, Ramblers. About the Wayne Scott Sewing Society. About the Ladies Village Improvement Society, about the Garden Club of East Hampton, and Mrs. Ruth Benjamin, who was the first director at Home Sweet Home Museum. Your job, if you accept it, is to go there, look at the exhibit, and then bring something back at the next meeting and talk about it. Okay? And I won't be here, so it's okay because, well, no, the information is there. So you can't mess it up. Okay, everybody got it?
Got it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Ruth Benjamin was.
The first director at Home Sweet Home Museum.
Thank
So
you very much.
if you go into the lobby and go to the left of those glass cases, that's where the information is, okay, the exhibit. Okay, Jason, goodbye.
Take care, Hugh.
Thank you very much, you. As I said earlier, for those who may have joined late, the first public hearing was erroneously posted. That hearing on amending Chapter 255 regarding affordable housing will occur on April 6th at 2 p.m. Next hearing is for the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan, and we have our Director of Land Management, Scott Wilson, with us to give the introduction.
Well, that's historically
Whoa,
relevant,
wait.
but still
She's got to do
important.
read the
Oh.
meeting notice
Oh,
Sorry.
Carol.
and the COVID
We're ahead
disclosure.
of ourselves.
Sorry, my flight was delayed last night. I didn't get in until about 2 a.m.
The public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV, Channel 22, and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person, but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person or by agent or attorney, by telecom to the live meeting, or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk in email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes and for updated information. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, March 16th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons on the proposed M&S plan for Community Preservation Fund acquired properties within the town. The full text of the draft 2023 M&S plan, now dated 2/17/23, is available for inspection at the office of the Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, during regular business hours of 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, exclusive of holidays, as well as on the town's webpage. Click on Land Acquisition and Management Department, and then on Plans and Resources in the sidebar.
Thank you, Carol. Scott
Oh,
Wilson will present now.
So Town Law 64E, the Community Preservation Fund Law, requires that we create a management and stewardship plan for all acquired CPF properties. While required, I find it simply a good opportunity to revisit our plans to account for the ebb and flow of land management. Because all properties need some form of stewardship, be it posting of signs, cleaning up debris, or reconciling encroachments. 2023 being the 15th edition of this plan. We have acquired interest and rights in real property for 507 parcels, with 7 more in contract, representing over 2,352 acres. We accomplished the vast majority of our stewardship work in-house. We create a baseline document which documents the parcel as it exists at the time of acquisition. We help create management plans for those properties with some proposed human use. And we regularly monitor all CPF properties for encroachments, dumping, or other issues. Note that every parcel that we acquire has a baseline document, and a compilation for each parcel can be found online under the CPF and Nature Reserve Properties baseline reports. In addition, each of our management plans that we've created can also be found online in the same location. Both baselines and management plans are grouped by hamlet. When we discussed this at a work session on 2/14, the board asked for a modification to this document so that it would be easier for the public to actually find those documents. And so we made that modification on pages 6 and 7 to include the addresses and links, depending on how you view this document. Beyond in-house management, the proposed management stewardship plan discusses any known projects along with associated expenses. Significant projects for 2023 may be the restoration of Brooks Park property on Neck Path, the historic restoration of the Carl Fisher House and Annex on Foxborough Road, and the installation of a multi-use bath on the Boys and Girls Harbor property. While we have some preliminary work and findings, unfortunately, we do not yet have gone through the RFP process, and so I actually don't have the full scope of the costs for these projects. So we may, revisit this plan in the future, modifications as per public hearing. There actually also may be other projects that we are not yet aware of, since it's still at the beginning of the year. And so again, any modifications or additions or large projects will require a modification of this plan, and we'll come back and we'll do a new public hearing for that. The stewardship budget being just over $2,373,000 is a general estimate. Again, not having the RFPs, this is almost like a placeholder. We are allowed to use up to 10% of the fund for stewardship purposes, and it's based upon the last auditable year. In this case, would be 2021. So we could encumber over $6.7 million. With regard to this plan, the responsibility of our department was to create a document that will guide us in our efforts towards appropriate management and stewardship goals and objectives, assist in prioritizing projects, and control related expenditures. This lends transparency to the plan, giving the general public the opportunity to participate in the discussions surrounding proposed expenditures. The draft plan is actually found on the town's website or in the town clerk's office. And other than the town board's comments we received on 2/14, I haven't had any additional public comments for changes or modifications. Perhaps we'll have some today. Is there any specific comments? I have the plan here if you wanted to go through any aspect of it.
Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone who wishes to speak, David?
Good morning, David Buda from the Springs. I just want to make a few general comments. Every year I look forward to receiving or having an opportunity to review the management and stewardship document prepared by the Land Management Department because it's a convenient place to record the history of the program, the listing of the various categories of lands that have been acquired, and to give people an overview of the program. So it's a very useful document. However, because it comes at the beginning of the year and it's at the beginning, it almost invariably has big blank spaces for the monies to be expended because they haven't been decided yet or the amounts have not yet been decided upon. So what I'd like to suggest, in the same sense that the document can be used as a historical reference, perhaps there should be attention to reporting on prior expenditures for CPF properties, historic properties that have been improved or maintained or expenditures were required. I don't think, going back over the years and searching my memory, that there's really a description of projects that have been completed and monies that have been expended. And I think that's something that could also be incorporated into this document on an annual basis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Anyone else wish to speak on the matter of the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan? Jason, do we have any callers on the line to speak about the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan?
We currently have 2 callers on the line, and I will unmute them, and we'll see who they would like to speak on. Okay. Hello, caller ending 9431. You are on the air. Would you like to speak on the Management and Stewardship Plan?
Nope, I'm waiting on the turkeys.
Waiting on the turkey. Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, going to unmute the next caller. Hello, caller.
Hi, yep.
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, this is Scott Bluehorn, and I'm calling just in specific reference to Brooks Park. I don't know is this just for the plan in general, or can I speak to that specifically?
Yeah, it's the Management and Stewardship Plan. That is a property that we do have that was acquired with CPF. And if you have comments you'd like to make about it, please feel free.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm a member of the Brooks Park Art and Nature Committee. We are a group of dedicated individuals who are steadfastly working towards the eventual creation of a cultural place for the arts and for the public at this specific property. And I'm just calling to continue to hope that the town board is going to move forward with everything that needs to be done on this property, which we all know is rapidly deteriorating because of a lot of inaction. And I just want to reiterate that this is a very important project, not only to myself and to the group, but I think to many members of the public. And I want to reiterate that this is an important part of our community's cultural heritage, for the abstract expressionist movement at large, and also our community's specific contribution to the arts. This is a national, state, and locally recognized as an important historic site. It was listed as 11 most endangered properties and one of the 7 to save by Historic Preservation Long Island. And Springs, of course, is a densely populated and growing rapidly community and very much in desperate need of a cultural community space that we believe that this property would serve for multiple uses, including art and nature, and that is our mission. Now, we do have we have the fact that the town allocated 1.7 from town budget for 2 new Little League baseball fields for sports, and now we would like the CPF to allow for funding for cultural sites for artistic children, especially for the Springs Hamlet, which we think is a somewhat underserved community in this regard. We have a very diverse demographic in Springs, and we believe that there's kind of been a neglecting aspect of arts education and funding for arts education for Springs in general. So we would really like to have the town board to move forward, and we really hope that there is not any further deterioration. Time is of the essence here. We know what needs to be done. We're urging as much as possible for the town board to greenlight the necessary work that needs to be done as soon as Mike Devonshire's report comes in, which I believe will be next week on the condition report. I also want to let the town board remember that the Parish Art Museum is having a scheduled retrospective of James Brooks this summer. And we think that there's a great opportunity here to not only highlight the studio and the property, but to let this be a reminder that our place in the world is very important in terms of art history and culture. So those are some points I wanted to make, and I'm just reiterating that again, and really hope we can move forward with this. So thanks very much.
Thank you for calling, Scott, and we look forward to reading Michael Devonshire's condition report. Anyone else on the line wish to address the CPF management and stewardship plan?
We have no other callers on the line.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Next public hearing for today is notice of public hearing to amend chapter code 91 beaches and parks, article 3, hunting on town parklands. Carol, would you please read the hearing notice?
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 16th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard to consider a proposed local law amending Chapter 91 Beaches and Parks, Article 3, Hunting on Town Parklands of the East Hampton Town Code as follows. A local law providing for the amendment of Chapter 91 Beaches and Parks, Article 3, Hunting on Town Parklands of the East Hampton Town Code, Section 91-46, restrictions on the issuance of licenses, additional regulations, paragraph A, to include all town parklands as set forth in Schedules 1 through 5 of Chapter 91.
Thank you, Carol. I have several people signed up, and then I'll take by show of hands anyone else who wishes to speak, and then we'll go to the phone lines as well. Again, this is a hearing to amend a Scribner's error. First up, we have Bill Crane.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Hi, Bill. Okay, yeah, I would love it. Thanks. Thank you, Bill.
It's a good idea to correct the error. I am here to talk about the turkeys. I'd like to talk about a minute about the turkeys from what I've learned as in our Safe Haven Farm Sanctuary in upstate New York, and talking to people and observing them there and observing them in Montauk. Turkeys have individual personalities. Some are adventuresome, some are timid, some are aggressive to humans, some are friendly, some care about others, some are more individualistic. The temperaments and individuality of the turkeys is very wide. Is very wide. People, wildlife agencies and hunters often talk about them strictly in terms of numbers and how many will be killed, and what percentage and what the density is, and it's all very statistical. It seems very impersonal, and they also use euphemisms a lot. We've gotten the habit of using, like, talking about taking the turkey or harvesting a turkey rather than saying what we're really doing, which is when we kill a turkey, we kill it. So I think we should start to say what we mean and say what's really happening. Turkeys themselves are not just statistics, but each is an individual, as I mentioned, who wants to live. The issue has come up about sentient beings. You know, I think it's obvious, anybody who's watched turkeys for a while, that they are very sentient beings. At a previous hearing, I talked about how the turkeys at our farm became very quiet when they heard Girl Scouts participating in a solemn ceremony. They seemed to respond to the solemnity of the occasion. They exhibit happiness. Some of them come up to people's houses in East Hampton. Sometimes they become affectionate toward them, and wild ones seem to purr a little bit. They're not real vocal in terms of their emotions, and that's one of the reasons that we don't see the emotions so much. But Jenny Fratty, who's here today, the former director of the Wildlife Rescue Center of the Hamptons, says they make a kind of a trill. We know that they can exhibit anger. You've seen them puff up real big when they're mad. They're not just saying, look at my beautiful pic. Often that's a threat gesture when they puff up real big with their feathers, and wild ones will stomp when they're angry. Some when they attack, they exhibit fear. We've all seen them run away. When they're scared, they also tremble when held. When they're scared, Buddha said all beings tremble at the sight of in fear. They're sensitive to human attitudes and emotions. We had a caretaker at our sanctuary who was very mechanical in her performing her chores. She wasn't mean to any of the animals, but she just went about the business in a very task-oriented way. The turkeys hated her. They just, whenever she came around, they went after her and pecked at her. And she finally had to put fences up when she went in to clean their stalls, because they just hated that mechanical attitude. They're really sensitive.
So Bill, I'm going to interject here and repeat again. This hearing is about a scrivener's error in the code.
Well, I signed up under I think a lot of us had signed up.
I'm happy to have you speak now, but anyone else who wants to address turkeys, you could do so in public comment after the hearing. This hearing is about a very specific technical omission in the code that we're seeking to correct.
Yeah, thank you for that.
If you have any comment about that,
it's a good idea.
Entertain that now. Otherwise,
correct all errors. All errors in the world should be corrected.
I wish we could do that.
Can I finish?
We're not going to get to all of them today, but
okay.
Appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah. Okay. I just have a 30-second minute.
Okay, you've already gone beyond.
Oh, okay. I just want to tell you one more story.
Comments to 3 minutes.
Okay,
so wrap up.
Okay, I'll wrap up. One of the just catch my thought a second. The story I wanted to conclude with is a story of a turkey named Ducky. One day, a caretaker at our farm named Grant came up and saw that Ducky was all upset, raising a ruckus, and her friend Sadie had gone over the fence. There were young turkeys, and the Sadie could fly real well and went over the fence, and Ducky seemed to want her back, but Grant had come from a pond, swimming in the pond. And so he interpreted it to mean go over the fence and get her, but he only had flip-flops on. So he decided to go back to the cottage to get his boots so he could climb the fence better. When he started to head in the other direction, the turkey Ducky went berserk. He interpreted it to mean, where the hell are you going? Back, come and help us over here. Go get Sadie over here. Don't go back that way. So he went over the fence and climbed over the fence and got her, and then she calmed down. They have a great capacity for caring for their friends. Ducky was asking us for help. Turkeys, like other animals in the world today, are suffering horribly. And I would take this as a metaphor to say that they're all asking for our help. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next up, I have PJ Dalia, but it says turkeys. So if you want to wait for public comment to make make your,
I have diminished hearing, so this is about
this is
having
about
the
a
turkey sheet.
technical. This is not, no.
It's not.
We can take your comments during public comment. This is a specific hearing about a technical error in the code that we're trying to correct.
Oh, so I'll have the chance today?
You'll have an opportunity as soon as public hearing's over. We'll go to public comment. And if you want to make general comments about turkeys or turkey hunting and
Okay.
whatnot, you can do so then.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to specifically address the technical Scrivener's errors in the code that we're seeking to correct? Jason, do we have anyone online who wishes to comment on the specific technical errors in the code that we're seeking to correct?
I will make sure of that right now, that's what they're here to talk about. Hello, caller ending 9431. Earlier you said turkeys. Would you like to address the Scrivener error, or would you like to address public comment?
I would like to address the public comment, but can you be clear about when and how I can do that? Is it after the meeting? Do I stay on the line on the phone to do so?
Yes, please stay on the line. We have one additional public hearing after this one, and then we'll go directly to public comments and get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and I have one more person who just hopped on. Let me just make absolutely sure. Hello, 4575. Would you like to talk about the Scrivener's error, or would you like to talk during public comment about the turkeys?
Oh, I'm sorry. During public comment. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Please stay on the line. Okay, that's it.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. That brings us up to our last public hearing, which is a grant of a scenic and conservation easement, HRH Design Group. Carol, would you please read the roll call? Sorry. It was a long trip yesterday.
Please take notice that pursuant to Section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing, Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, March 16th, 11 a.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard to concern the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is HRH Design Group LLC. It's a scenic and conservation easement dated February 1st. The location is 172 Cranberry Hill Road, Narragansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300, 152, 113, and the reviewing agency is the ZBA.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak on this matter?
Motion.
Jason, do we have any callers on the line who wish to speak to the scenic and conservation easement?
No, we do not. Wait, give me a second. Somebody just joined the meeting as I said that. Let me make absolutely sure that they show up. Okay, no. As of right now, we have nobody on the line for that.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Aye, passed and carried. That brings us up to public portion, where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Have no one,
PJ.
oh, PJ, I'm sorry. PJ, you're first, and then I'll take by show of hands anyone else who wishes to address the board.
I just have a question and a couple of opinions, so I won't be very long. The first question is anyone here a really big fan of ticks? Well, turkeys eat ticks, and that makes me a big fan of theirs. Plus, they're beautiful. I have really nothing against people wanting to do sports hunting, but there are plenty of places in the state that can do it. I don't see why we have to do it here. And my opinion is that the more turkeys we have, the less ticks we have. And since we've already had a really warm winter, we're going to have twice as many ticks as we usually do. And the question is, do we have any data, hard data, that says that we have too many turkeys, that there's an overpopulation? I know some people are feeling a little harassed by them every once in a while, but again, they're not going to want people shooting in their property, so that wouldn't solve their problem. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, PJ. Anyone else wish to address the board? Yes, ma'am, in the back, and then I'll go over here. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ronnie Miller Manning from Springs. I'll be brief because I think everyone here knows my opinion on the turkey hunting. And I really wanted to say I appreciated what Bill Crane and this lady had to say. I love the turkeys too. Am fortunate enough to live bordering town lands and walking trails, so I get to observe all the wildlife. But I just want to say that I think some people think that the turkeys don't have any natural predators. That's simply just not true. I mean, raccoons, I looked it up this morning. All one has to do is Google it. There's raccoons, opossums, the gray foxes. They are natural predators of the turkeys. You know, and the big hawks and the owls that we see soaring through the skies. I'm just here to make one last appeal to you guys to please reconsider your majority opinion about opening up the month of May to the turkey hunting. It's really my favorite month. I mean, we all know that the winters are long out here. Last time I was here, I talked about how it was really disturbing to me, my neighbors, people who have dogs that are afraid of the gunshots. And literally every morning during the month of January, we're woken up with the sounds of gunshots through our neighborhood in Springs, and my dog is shaking and quaking. Sometimes it causes her to run off the beach and onto the road. I just would hate to think about that during the month of May. And we do have a lot of people out here. And just the idea of hunters being able to sit up in a tree waiting for turkeys to pass by and kill them, just really an unpleasant thought for me and for a lot of my friends, all like-minded people who love nature, who love the animals. You know, we all need some peace. So I'm just here to just ask the town board, please, to reconsider opening up that month of May to hunting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to address the board?
Good morning. I'm Virginia Frady, and I'm the founder of the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue Center in Hampton Bays. I just want to attest to the fact that particularly bow and arrow hunting is especially cruel. We've gotten countless turkeys and deer, and along with a lot of pictures that homeowners witness and take pictures and send to our center of turkeys with arrows sticking out of them. It's not a quick, humane death at all, and we witness that on a day-by-day basis, of course, more so during hunting season. But this happening during the month of May, when there's a lot of people are going to be coming out here and witnessing this kind of thing, I just hope you would reconsider at least that extra month of May's hunting season. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Yeah, Martha, and then David. Morning.
And I want to thank you for your service to the town. It's been a while, and I really appreciate the time that you all have to listen to us about the turkeys. It's a beautiful community and a really caring community, and that's why I moved here. And the animals are a big attraction. And since if we had more pheasants or more bobwhites, we don't, because the habitat, they can't take the habitat, but the turkeys were able to survive. And as expressed, they are the ones that are eating the ticks. And although a lot of people encounter safety issues with the deer, I'm not sure about that with the turkeys. They seem very resilient, or they seem to not dart out in front of cars and cause a lot of accidents like unfortunately some of the deer do. And
Del Cullum was like such a proponent to saving a lot of the animals that were hurt. And thanks to this lovely woman here, a lot of the animals do suffer. And a lot of the dogs and a lot of the people who have moved out here during the pandemic are unaware of places that they shouldn't be with animals. So for safety and the health of the community, I hope that they reconsider the May hunting season for turkeys. And thank you again.
Excuse me, before you go, I might have missed it. Would you state your name for the
Oh,
record?
I'm sorry, Martha Gunderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Anyone else? Yes. Betsy?
I wanted to speak last in case I'm not duplicating
Betsy,
any.
just please state your name for
Just
the
wanted
record.
to say that I wanted to speak last in case I don't duplicate anything that anyone else had said, because I think I might go a little bit over 3 minutes. So my name is Betsy Petrosky, and I represent the East Hampton Group for Wildlife on the East Hampton Town Wildlife Management Committee. For expediency, I'm going to read my comments and concerns into the record today to petition the town board regarding a new off-season spring month long turkey hunt in May after this board's last presentation and review, and to ask the board to consider their consensus taken, or to reconsider their consensus taken at the March 7th meeting. For the record, the East Hampton Group for Wildlife started a change.org petition on Facebook this past Friday on March 10th. And over the weekend, we garnered over 500 votes. Because of the time of year with wintry weather and not having the luxury of time, taking it to Facebook seemed the best and the most efficient way to go. After a quick review of the names and locations, this morning I was able to pull out the signers from East Hampton and our New York City area of recognizable names of longtime East Hampton residents that reside in both locales. I would venture to say that we are pretty much in line with the same amount of signees as the Sportsmen's Alliance Group, and mostly probably more than this, because our count at this morning was close to 600. To make a point, I want to reference the petition that was started last year by Yuka Severa, and to ask the board, who wanted to ask the board to consider and approve a one-day moratorium on no hunting during the week, an initiative during the many months of the fall-winter hunting season to give everyone who live near these allowed hunted lands a break from hearing gunshots much from the wooded areas all day long and all week long, and for every being who lives in the woods a much needed break as well. Yuka hit each hamlet and received over 900 signatures, with more than 600 signers being local East Hampton residents. I think this is important to point out, since the majority of our residents are not hunters and prefer to protect our wildlife and their habitats. Unfortunately, though, this board dismissed that petition without much consideration. Our current East Hampton Group for Wildlife petition is still up and running on Facebook for anyone who wants to sign on. It continues to grow daily, and we will keep it going until the meeting on March 6th, which I believe is the meeting that this board will make its final decision with the formal vote. Because this month-long hunt has never been part of our local landscape before, I strongly feel this board should follow our New York State Parks Department position not to allow any spring turkey hunting in their parklands in East Hampton, especially because it coincides with one of our most busy and active months of the year for outdoor recreation, and most importantly, when turkey hens are nesting and to continue to mate in our woods. However, I am very concerned that this is dividing our community. And I thought that after the last meeting, there might be an other option other than just the 4 days option that other than the list of 4 options that Kate Rogers presented during her presentation at the 3/7 meeting. I realize this option that I would ask the board to consider would not be what everyone in our wildlife group would want, but as the longtime resident, I wrote to the board not from the group's position, but because I feel it's important for a diverse community that something more fair should be considered other than the board's discussion and consensus of only 4 days during the Memorial Day weekend to hold off on hunting on the 18 town-owned lands. My suggestion is to split the month of May in half. Firstly, the traditional fall-winter turkey hunting season is a 2-week period, not a month-long hunt. The new recently added annual spring youth hunt is scheduled this year for the weekend of April 22nd through the 23rd. Therefore, my suggestion would be to allow this new off-season turkey hunt for the first 2 weeks of May only, and that it would piggyback on the youth spring hunt a week earlier. This should be a new trial season for spring 2023 only, and for the Wildlife Management Committee and this board to revisit it early next year to see how it went, hopefully without incident, and to get feedback what was going on the 18 town-owned lands that were open to hunting from its residents in the surrounding area. The second half of May would be free of hunting, and will give the hikers, bikers, dog walkers, and everyone else who want to safely and peacefully get out in nature for some fresh air and exercise without encountering non-local and local hunters on our taxpayer town-owned land and trails for the remaining last 2 weeks of May, which of course includes the long Memorial Day weekend days that stretch out a day or two towards the end of the month. So I asked the town board council members to put aside their personal alliances and affiliations and to consider either this split month alternative or to ban the spring hunt altogether. I do hope we can come to a no hunt resolution, but if not, to select the option to split the month for the first 2 weeks of May for the hunters and leave the second half of May for the majority of our community to enjoy, I think would be fair. I do appreciate the time to speak, but I'll reserve my thank you until after the 416 vote. Have a good day.
Anyone else wish to address the board on any matter? David?
I have two matters to discuss. Both are proposed resolutions. The first one, it's maybe the first time someone's ever commented on a resolution scheduling a public hearing on accepting an easement, but here goes. Resolution 416. I just want to suggest that you correct the proposed resolution to correct the name of the current correct owner, who would be the grantor of the easement. It is the corporation of which James Ciamillo is the Chief Financial Officer or Chief Executive Officer. The correct name of the owner is Intensive Precision, Inc. I also would like to take this opportunity to comment on the fact that it was this forward thinking of the town board and the planning board back in 1976, 1977, and doing the old file map study plan that they preserved and required the creation of 50-foot deep scenic easements along many of our scenic roads. And this is the benefit, this is the product of that forward thinking, that there is going to be a preservation of about 1/3 of an acre, 50 feet deep, along a parcel that's about to be developed at the Wooded Oak Lane in East Hampton in Northwest Woods. So we have to we should be aware of and thank the board for having developed the old file map study plan and including provisions for requiring 50-foot scenic easements. On the other hand, I'd like to point out that since myself and many people in this town are concerned about overdevelopment and how it impinges upon the town's existing character, how it eliminates affordable housing, how excessively large proposed new structures are changing the characters of so many neighborhoods. Even now, where I live, which generally was considered a modest area, there are houses going up on Harborview Drive and Copices Lane, and even on Outlook Lane further up in the Springs, that are just humongous in proposal and scope. And it's the fault of the town's zoning code not properly taking into consideration all of the parameters. There really has to be a focus on updating the code. This particular house that's going to give up the easement is probably the poster boy for overdevelopment. The proposal to build a house that's already been sold for $4.5 million with 8 bedrooms, 7.5 baths, what they claim to be square footage of 5,575. on a 1 acre lot that is giving up a 1/3 acre scenic easement. If you look at the map of what's proposed, it's just astonishing. Now, I know that my time's up, but this really is very important. I'd like to go briefly into the issue of the affordable accessory apartment legislation, the scheduling of the hearing date. I'm not sure whether the 3-week period between today and the new proposed date for the hearing of April the 6th is sufficient time for the town board to properly refer the matter to the planning board and to give them the opportunity at a regularly scheduled meeting to review it, discuss it, and send to you their written recommendations. That is a required feature of our town zoning code amendment provisions. It can be done, but you're certainly not, it shouldn't be a rush job. You should give them ample opportunity to consider the changes. I also would like to point out that in the prescribed methods for amending the town zoning chapter, there clearly is not a provision such as you envision, whereby future resolution, you'll make changes to this zoning code for affordable accessory apartments. That's not an option. You might be able to set fee schedules by resolution, but to make changes in the number of allowable units for whatever purpose by future resolution is not something that you have the power to do. The proposal does incorporate a provision for changing from time to time the number of AAA, I call them AAA, not ADUs, but affordable accessory apartments, AAAs. In a school district, they're available on less than a year-round occupancy. That provision should not be there. On Tuesday this week, the supervisor discussed the governor's budget proposal to push a 3% increase in development on statewide communities with a focus on new accessory dwelling units, ADUs. To his credit, Peter was taken aback and surprised by what he described as the governor's proposal to supplant and supersede our zoning laws completely in a manner that clearly is not the right approach for East Hampton or for much of Long Island. My reaction to aspects of the town board's proposed changes to the affordable accessory apartment legislation is actually very similar to Peter's reaction to the governor's proposal, although there are obviously two different proposals. Allowing new detached affordable accessory apartments on parcels as small as 20,000 square feet, which is our minimum lot size for a single-family residence, is actually quite concerning. To allow rents to be charged that are 130% of fair market rent as determined by HUD, and then calling that creation of affordable housing is also quite concerning. Eliminating the requirement that AAAs or affordable accessory apartments be used only for year-round occupancy is also quite concerning. I won't go into all my concerns. There will be a public hearing. Many people will speak, I hope. But what I want to comment on is it was a pleasure to enjoy, it was an enjoyable pleasure to watch you work through the process of making changes to this legislation on numerous occasions. Unfortunately, it's sort of like watching sausage being made. It can be a little messy, but you've come up with a proposal. I think that there are many things that need to be done to improve truly affordable housing opportunities in the town of East Hampton. I have always said everything that you've done to create new affordable rental apartments has been wonderful and really attacks the problem. But nibbling away at our single-family zoning requirements and imposing upon them all these gotchas, all these little nibbles and bites, changing the character of a neighborhood by allowing detached affordable accessory apartments, to allow people to both rent out 2 bedrooms to boarders and then have a second structure, which is really a second dwelling unit on a single family residential lot. You're proposing to change more and more increasingly the nature of our zoning. What you should focus in on is real meaningful change. Town needs affordable housing, it needs rental housing. Town might need for you to look at vacant lands, not existing single family zones, and see where we can have new zoning for apartments and or multiple family dwellings. That would accomplish a lot. These changes are minuscule. It might give you the feeling that you're accomplishing something, but it really won't. And of course, the governor's proposal is way off the mark, as you noted on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I think the most frightening part of the governor's proposal is that you could simply subdivide your lot to accommodate a separate dwelling unit without any secret, without any of our town regulations and process or review. Accessory dwelling units could be built within 4 feet of a side or rear yard. But, I don't think we're going to solve this problem by simply building apartments. There's not enough vacant land, first of all. And I think being able to keep the character of neighborhoods by having people live in them who actually work and contribute to the community year round is really important.
You said year round, but you're going to allow them to be not for year-round residents.
Well, not completely. We're not excluding the fact that we also have to be able to operate restaurants and other businesses in town on a seasonal basis because we have a pretty seasonal community for the most part still. That's changing, but we have to be able to keep our community intact, and that means keeping community members living here and giving them options to stay in the community.
Well, with all due respect, I would suggest that not be done by essentially doing the same thing that you would abhor in the governor's section.
Not the same thing. I'm going to disagree.
Dividing a
very
property,
strongly.
having 2 dwelling units on a single-family lot.
Just say,
that's exactly what this does.
It's not the same as what the governor's doing.
It has to be thought of in the same terms.
It's not at all what the governor's doing. The governor's coming in as an outside entity without any community input. We have a process here. We've had multiple meetings, as you said, offered multiple opportunities for the community to address this directly to us. We've heard from you. You've had an opportunity to be involved all along the way.
I appreciate
That's not what the governor's doing.
No, that's terrible.
It's very different. This is democracy, and this is how we solve problems. And you may not agree, and you may not like what we're proposing, and I appreciate that.
What I'm suggesting is that you do meaningful, significant change, and not little tweaks that are just give you the feeling that you're accomplishing something because it really isn't.
No,
Thanks,
it's your
David.
opinion.
We're going to try and do something meaningful. Anyone else wish to address the board? We'll move on to resolution.
I got one caller.
Sorry.
No worries. Hello, caller ending 9431. You are on the air.
Hi, can I talk about the turkeys now?
Yes, please talk turkey.
I've
You
been
can introduce
waiting
your.
an hour and a half to talk about the
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hi, my
Please
name is-
introduce yourself.
No worries, no worries. Thanks for taking my call. My name is Jennifer Grossbach, and I live in Springs. I just wanted to echo what everyone is saying, but I just wanted to add a little to it. So obviously, people have been talking about turkeys as being, playful, intelligent animals with unique personalities. They form strong bonds. They'll dance when they're reunited with friends. If a member of their flock goes missing, they literally cry out until he or she returns. They're sweet, loyal, and courageous birds, and not so far off from our animal companions. One thing that I've been hearing as an argument pro this May addition to the turkey hunt is tradition. I think in 2023, and I'm not trying to sound quote unquote woke, but I feel that tradition is a dangerous excuse to continue doing things we want to do that are otherwise unjustifiable. We can look at any point in human history and find the longest lasting examples of cruelty disguised as beneficial actions for the greater good. There's no greater good here. We need turkeys. They eat up to 200 ticks a day. We have a tick problem. We do not have a turkey problem. So again, speaking to tradition just means something done by a lot of people for a long time. It doesn't mean it's correct, moral, or even efficient. It is not a substitute for reason and compassion. I am begging the board to have compassion. It is not necessary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mason, are there any other callers on the line?
We have no other callers on the line.
Okay, at this point, we'll move on to resolutions. The board has resolutions to offer. Kathy, I believe you have the first.
Yes, starting with Resolution 2023-397. It's a bond for $345,000 for additional roof improvements at the YMCA.
Second.
We have a roll call, please, Carol.
Councilmember Burke Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Lease.
Aye.
Councilmember Overby.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 223-398 is approval of the warrant. Claims total $1,963,755.67. And the utility warrant totals $59,143.71.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
399 is to schedule a special meeting on March 28th, 2023 at 11 a.m. for the purpose of an executive session to interview town attorney candidates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
400 is for our Wellness 60 Plus program. It's a balance in self-defense with Oscar Giles. And this approves 36 older adult balance and self-defense classes, and each session to cost $75 with the cost not to exceed $2,700.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
401 is approval of various special event permits. The first is the Montauk Chamber of Commerce Extravaganza Egg Hunt on the Montauk Green, and that's Saturday, April 1st from 11 to 3. The Montauk Artists Association Outdoor Art Show on the Montauk Green, the weekend of Friday, June 2nd, Saturday, June 3rd, and Sunday, June 4th. The Montauk Artists Association Outdoor Art Show on the Montauk Green. This is during the month of August. It's Friday, August 18th, Saturday, August 19th, and Sunday, August 20th. We have the Clamshell Foundation 40th Annual Fireworks Display over 3 Mile Harbor. That date is Saturday, July 15th from 9:30 to 9:45. And lastly, the Clamshell Foundation 30th Annual Sandcastle Contest at Atlantic Avenue Beach on Saturday, August 12th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 402 is a notice to bidders. It's bid EH 23-010. It's the Montauk Playhouse HVAC improvements. It's a phase for phase 1. The bid is available March 16th and due back April 6th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 403 is a notice to bidders EH 23-011. It's the supply and delivery of kitchenware items, and the bid is available March 16th and due back March 30th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 404 is to accept bid EH 23-002. It's the YMCA HVAC replacement. That's with Premier Mechanical, and that is for the total cost of $907,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 405 is a transfer from the YMCA reserve in the amount of $48,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
406 is to accept bid EH 23-001. It's the YMCA roof replacement, and that is with Statewide Roofing, Inc. for the total cost of $648,369.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
And 407 is to hire Silver Wolf Environmental for Human Services. The financial impact is $1,175.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
I would like to offer Resolution 2023-408. This is a schedule of public hearing for the East Hampton Farm Museum Draft Management Plan. The property is located at 131 and 135 North Main Street, East Hampton, and the Town Board discussed this at a work session on March 7th. The public hearing will be heard on April 6th, 2023 at 2 p.m.
Second, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
2023-409 is to reappoint Amanda Moreau to the CPF Advisory Board, where her current term expired in March of 2023. She's contributed her thoughtful expertise to said board over the past year and willingness to reappoint her to the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board through March 23rd, 2030.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
410 is a RFP for EH 2023-107. It's the license to utilize agricultural land in Amagansett. The proposal is available March 16, 2023, and proposal was due back on April 6, 2023. The land is located on Stony Hill Road and Hamlin Lane. If you have any questions, please contact our purchasing department at 631-324-4183.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass and carry.
411 is accept a bid for EH 23009. This is for a mobile food concession for Select Town Beaches for 2023. The bids have been going out. For Maidstone Park, it's going to Hampton Soft Ice Cream for a total amount of 3 seasons to amount $4,860. And for Westlake Drive location for 3 years to Peggy's Corporation for the amount of $16,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carry.
411 is accept a donation of a memorial bench, a gift of Evelyn.
Well,
412.
I apologize. I'd like to offer resolution 2023-412. This is accept a donation of a memorial bench. It's a gift from Evelyn O'Doherty. Whereas Evelyn O'Doherty would like to donate a memorial bench as a gift to the town of East Hampton in dedication of her father, Edward T. Coulter. Memorial bench is to be placed at Louse Point, on Louse Point Road facing the water in East Hampton. Hereby resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the bench's placement at Louse Point and hereby gratefully accepts the donation of Evelyn O'Doherty to the town of East Hampton in the memory of her father.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2023-413, accept a donation of a memorial bench, a gift from Chris Duca and daughters. Whereas Chris Duca and his daughters would like to donate a memorial bench as a gift to the town of East Hampton in memory of his wife, Linda Duca, to be placed at Gin Beach beyond the parking lot overlooking the water in East Hampton. Now therefore be it resolved that the town hereby gratefully accepts a donation of Chris Duca and his daughters to the town of East Hampton in the memory of their wife, who was a wonderful lady. Her name is Linda Duca.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
414, retroactive approval of request for funding submission for the Lieutenant Lee Hayes Youth Park project. Whereas Town of East Hampton's currently estimates a project might be about $1.245 million. The town sought grant funding in the same amount from the congressionally directed spending fund for the fiscal year 2024 to subsidize the estimate the renovations at the Lieutenant Lee Hayes Youth Park. Now, resolved that the town of East Hampton retroactively approves the submittal of the request form to Senator Schumer for consideration for this direct spending fund grant opportunity.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried.
Resolution 2023-415 is to schedule a public hearing to amend Chapter 255 regarding affordable accessory apartments. The hearing is to be held on Thursday, April the 6th at 2 p.m.
Second.
Can I call for discussion? I mean, to Mr. Buda's point, is this giving enough time to the planning board to consider the changes to the code? And do
I'm
we
looking to
wanna-
John to see if,
Do we want to just postpone it to the second meeting in April?
I actually have no problem with this second meeting in April and make sure that we have all the necessary.
Requirements are 10 days notice in the paper.
Well, what about the planning board needs to review it? Is that,
Well, we've been working with the planning department, so it's fine if you want to put it to the second meeting, it's fine, but I haven't talked to Jeremy about the response, but they're certainly aware of what we're doing. It's certainly safer to put it onto the next meeting. That's what you want to do.
I mean, I don't know what the planning board's calendar looks like as far as even what dates they're meeting.
They meet next week, but I have no problem putting it off.
Either one is fine with
So we'll
me.
do it for the second meeting.
for the
and then
20th?
It would be,
No, it would be
It would be April 20th.
Yeah, it would be April 20th.
and it would be 11 a.m. instead of the 2 p.m. we have in the Resa.
Anyone else? I'm good with. So do you want a second as amended?
Second as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass
So
and carried.
it's the 20th at 2?
11
11.
At 11?
It's at 11 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Council,
Yep.
we're doing it
Just the first one we do it
at 2 o'clock. And so hopefully we will reach those who now think it's the 6th.
A lot of people.
It was listed on the agenda as occurring today. So now it's like the second time
Well, it gives us more time to make sure that it does.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would think 3 weeks would be long enough for planning board to review and make comments, but if the board wants to push it to the 20th, we can do that. So we have an all in favor. That's passed and carried. Next up.
Resolution 2023-416 is Samilo, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, grant of scenic and conservation easement to schedule a public hearing. And that would also be on Thursday, April the 6th at 2 p.m. There was a comment today that this is not the owner of the property, but the,
Actually, I had the office check the records, and they actually have it as James Camillo submitted it on behalf of Intensive Precision, Inc. So we can just add that.
So if we want to just amend grantor James Camillo on behalf of Intensive Precision, Inc.
Yes,
LLC?
Yeah, no, just Inc.
Oh, just Inc. Not LLC.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a
Second is
second as
amended.
amended.
so I do have a question for John. The reviewing agency is the town board, so none of the other boards are going to be looking at this particular. I
Correct.
just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. And I'll get you a copy of the
Yeah, that's what I
information
was-
before the hearing date.
All right, so this is a scenic and conservation easement at 1 Wooded Oak Lane in East Hampton, and the town board is the reviewing agency.
Second is amended.
All in favor? Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-417 is to appoint 2 additional members to the Anti-Bias Task Force. This is for Heather Lynn Romoff and for Sarah Seard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed, carried.
Resolution 2023-418 is to accept a proposal for RFP EH 2023-102. This is for household hazardous waste collection days, known as STOP days, and it's going to MXI Environmental Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed, carried.
And I have Resolution 419, which is a reclassification and promotion for Nicole Shipman to Senior Justice Justice Court Clerk. Whereas the Suffolk County Department of Human Resources, Personnel and Civil Services reviewed the duties and responsibilities of Nicole Shipman's Justice Court Clerk position. And as a result of this review, it has been determined that the duties of this position are to be reclassified to the title of Senior Justice Court Clerk. Resolved that Nicole Shipman be and is appointed to the full-time position of Senior Justice Court Clerk, an annual salary of $57,010.95 for a 35-hour work week. Appointment to take effect retroactive to March 13th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 420 is the provisional appointment to environmental technician for Melanie Warren. And this is whereas the Suffolk County Department of Human Resources, Personnel and Civil Service has given an examination for the title of environmental technician, and the town board has requested and been notified that no eligible list is in existence for the above title, whereas the town of East Hampton has requested and received permission to fill the position of environmental technical clerk on a provisional basis in accordance with the CSEA contract. The position has been posted from February 21st, 2023 through March 6, 2023, and Melanie Warren, part-time environmental analyst, meets the required qualifications for the position. Now be it resolved that Melanie Warren is hereby appointed on a provisional basis to the full-time position of environmental technician in the Natural Resources Department at an annual rate of $53,894.67 for a 40-hour work week, effective March 20th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 421 is payout upon resignation for Michelle Field. This is whereas in accordance with the CSEA Town of East Hampton Bargaining Union Agreement and the policy of the Town of East Hampton, earned vacation and compensatory time and prorated longevity are to be paid upon separation from employment, whereas Michelle Field has resigned from her full-time position as Senior Justice Court Clerk in Justice Court effective January 28th, and audited time records indicate she has an accrued vacation balance, compensatory time balance, and prorated longevity. Therefore, be it resolved that the Finance Office is authorized to issue a check through payroll from the appropriate account for vacation time in the amount of $3,115.74, compensatory time $70.62, and prorated longevity of $307.69 for a gross total of $3,494.05.
Second.
Resolution
We
420,
have to vote.
I'm sorry. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Sleep deprivation does not suit me well at all. Resolution 2023-422 is to appoint part-time police officer to East Hampton Town Police Department, Mark Testa, the second. And whereas, Mark Testa is hereby appointed part-time at a rate of $28.50 effective March 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 423 is to appoint Community Housing Opportunity Fund committee members. And this is for the Community Housing Opportunity Fund to look over the 0.5% real estate transfer tax and to advise the town board as to its expenditures. The members are as follows: Ray Harden. He's from the construction industry. Pat Wodzinski, real estate industry. Alice Hausnick, human services. Emma Barentos, the banking. Andrew Garvey, housing. Adam Miller, housing. And Sarah Minardi is East Hampton Village rep. Then there will be ex officios, a town board liaison, a planning department designee, Office of Housing Community Development designee, and the Land Acquisition and Management Department designee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. We'll be issuing a press release later today, giving a little bit more background and announcing the formation of this committee, which is an important step towards addressing our housing crisis through the 0.5% seat community housing fund legislation. 424 is a compensatory time payout for Joseph Palermo. And records indicate that the accrued compensatory time balance is 5.65 hours prior to the date where he became the building department head. That works out to a gross total payout of $228.07.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution 425, New York TOA Conference. That is for police training. Lieutenant Daniel Toya, Sergeant Bradley Rossi, Detective Luke McNamara, Police Officer Joe Izzo, hereby authorized to attend the NYTOA Tactical Training Conference at Turning Stone Conference Center, Verona, New York, April 24th through 28th, and that is not to exceed $4,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. 426 is a fire and arson investigation training program. Rico resolved that Fire Marshal Alexander Rico attend the training, which starts on September 11th, 2023, and resolved that the registration fee will be paid from the appropriate training expense fund. Registration fee is $25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 427, fire and arson investigation training program, Zedladon, and that is for Fire Marshal Mario Zedladon to attend training. Resolved that he's authorized to attend the 2023 Introduction to Fire, Investigation Training class, which starts on September 11, 2023, and that registration fee is $25 also.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 428 is fire and arson investigation training program for Riege. This is for Fire Marshal Fritz Riege, and that is for attendance of 2023 Introduction to Fire Investigation Training class, again, which is on September 11th, 2023, and in the amount of $25 for the registration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. 429 is to submit a grant application for the Montauk Gateway project. Whereas the town of East Hampton is undertaking project in Montauk to remove the above ground utility lines and bury those lines along Montauk Highway at the intersection with Second House Road, Dearborn Place at the gateway to Montauk. Town currently has projected costs from vendors of $845,000 for the work. And the town is eligible for a $250,000 capital funding from DASNY, the Dormitory Authority of New York State, and the State Municipal Facilities Program, SAM. Therefore, the town of East Hampton will submit the grant application for DASNY for capital funding in the amount of $250,000 for the Gateway project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. 430 is 2022 year-end budget modification. Resolved that the town board directs the budget officer to make modifications containing in the attached schedule.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. 431 is authorized payment of past due invoices for Optimum Cablevision, and that is in the amount of $116.47.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. 432 is the temporary advance of funds to capital fund. Whereas budget officer, resolve the budget officer is directed to transfer $345,000 from the whole town A fund to the capital fund for the YMCA roof replacement for the purpose of the roof replacement. And then for the purpose of replacement with $345,000 to be transferred back to the whole town fund once a permissive referendum requirement is satisfied for additional borrowing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 433 is joint municipal bidding, Eastern Suffolk County BOCES. Resolved that the participant agrees to pay the Eastern Suffolk BOCES annual fee determined annually by the Eastern Suffolk BOCES to act as lead agent for the program. Financial impact on that is $3,046.
Second.
2023 rate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 434 is to extend the agreement with Vector Airport Services for 2023 option year for the airport systems professional services. Resolved the town of East Hampton hereby authorized to extend the agreement with Vector, and that is through the calendar year of 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 435 is to adopt the 2023 capital plan. We've had numerous discussions here at town work session on February 14th, the 7th, and March 14th. And this is resolved town board hereby adopts the 2023 capital plan for a total of $14,169,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. 436 is to accept proposal RFP EH 2023-105 East Hampton Commuter Connection Shuttle Hampton Hopper LLC. Hampton Hopper will provide service at a daily rate, 240 days at $1,995 per day. And see, 176 days, 4/1/23 to 12/31/23, 64 days, 1/2/24 through 3/31/24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried. And there's one additional resolution.
So Peter, I'll have a walk on.
Okay.
Resolution 2023-437 is to accept the scenic and conservation easement from HRH Design Group LLC at 172 Cranberry Hill Road in Amagansett.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed carried.
And I have a resolution ID 29154, adopt local law, amend chapter 91 beaches and parks, article 3, hunting on town Parklands. Whereas the town board held a public hearing to consider an amendment to Chapter 91, Beaches and Parks of the East Hampton Town Code, Article 3, Hunting on Town Parklands, Section 91-46, Restrictions on the Issuance of License, Additional Regulations, Paragraph A, to correct the reference to the town parklands so that it includes all town parklands which are set forth in Schedules 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Chapter 91, rather than only Schedule 1 as it presently erroneously referenced in the code. Whereas the town board would like to proceed to correct the error in the existing town code by fully referencing all 5 schedules, 1 through 5, listed in the town parklands in all areas of the town. Whereas the proposed revision is a type 2 action pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and Chapter 198. And no environmental assessment is required.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. We do have a couple items for exec.
Yes.
I
Litigation, personnel.
so go into exec. I make a motion that we go into exec for litigation and personnel
And leases.
and leases.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
It's 12:46.
Let's reconvene at 1:30.
Okay. Thank
Does that
you.
work for everyone? I'll
Yes.
send around a Zoom link. Thanks very much.